Hello everyone, this is Mike with fantasyfifteensports.com and singlegamedfs.com. I wanted to compare a winning lineup with the idea of using a game script and just trusting the computer, just trusting the machine intelligence of the spreadsheet to kick out a lineup that you actually run and put your faith in without putting your own opinions and stamp on. So let's take a look at this lineup. This was we did 28 entries in a $5 lineup. So it was a $5 slate. It was pretty expensive to do this. It was $140. We were pretty successful, so it turned out well. But I was hoping we could take a quick look and just reconstruct what happened when we trusted the computer against some intuitive things that might have prevented me from playing this lineup straight up if I was just looking at it without using the spreadsheet optimizer tools. So anyway, we have the game was Cleveland versus Seattle. And here's the game box score. Let's take a look at what we did here. See if I can get these both to fit. First of all, the two pitchers, it was Shane Bieber. I think these results are before the game. So Bieber was 1-0 versus Leak was 2-0. So the two pitchers before this game were relatively even. You couldn't really pick one terribly above the other. Relatively early in the season, they were both undefeated. 1-0 versus 2-0. The computer told us almost exclusively to hammer Bieber. If you look at him, he is in, of the 24 lineups, he's the captain 18 times. So I might have, if I had built this lineup by hand myself without using computer input, I might have hedged people all over the place. I might have put Leak in the other position, as a pitcher in the other captain position, or in the captain position half the time. But Bieber is all over the captain position 18 of 24 times. He's also in every single lineup. If he's not the captain, he's in the utility spot. Every time he's in 24 of the lineups, of the 24 lineups. So that was unique. We trusted the computer to tell us that Bieber should have been highly and heavily ranked in this, and we went with it. We did no stacking. Just because Bieber was the captain, we didn't line up a bunch of hitters from his team in his lineup, in each row for his lineup. The winning lineup here on row 4 was 3-3, and Bieber being one of the 3 on his team Bieber had 2 batters from his team, and he faced 3 from Seattle. So that didn't make much sense if you thought about it just intuitively. Should I stack Bieber's team with him and bat along with him to be a lineup that didn't have batters hitting against him? So Bieber had 3 batters hitting against him. Again, another kind of counterintuitive situation that turned out from the computer telling us to play it this way. Let's see what else. So let's take a look at line 4 and just see how the batters did. We can take a look at each one. Tim Beckham. Beckham batted 6th in the lineup and was shortstop. And another thing we do in our projection, in our points projection, we make provisions for weighting where the defensive position of the player is. And if we take a look at our internal tool for creating projections, this is a different game, but you can still get the same general idea. The shortstop is rated relatively low for offensive value because the shortstop is basically a defensively skilled position, and the players playing shortstop are in there because of their defensive skills and less for their offensive skills. The shortstop position value is only 2. We add 2 points for the shortstop position value. The theory behind this is that the shortstop position value is basically a skilled position value, so it's weighted more for defense than for offense. Your best player may be your shortstop, but he's not there because he's a hitter. He's there because he's got defensive skill. So Beckham batted 6th and was the shortstop. The other thing about batting 6th, we put weights in for batting order position, and 6th spot in the batting order is not the best spot. Here we can see a batting order position 6 that gets a value of 2. We have 1 through 4 or 0 through 4. And 6th in the order only gets a value of 2. So Beckham was a pretty moderate. You wouldn't pick him out to stand out very much. He's a shortstop and he batted 6th in the order. Okay, Jay Bruce. We look back at our lineup. Jay Bruce, also from the opposite team, played first base and batted 5th. Now, those are better. First base does really well in our batting order weight. Let's take a look at a first baseman here. So first basemen get a positional value of 3 out of 5. 3 is pretty good because a lot of sluggers are put at first base. You think of Rizzo's and Goldschmidt and those types of guys. They're kind of hidden at first base because they're good hitters and not necessarily the greatest fielders. They may not be the most mobile guys anymore, but they're good home run hitters. So that played out well for us with Bruce being at first base. 5th in the batting order. Let's take a look at somebody. Gets a 3 out of 4. So again, 5th is a pretty good spot. 3 and 4 are the best. 2nd and 5th are ranked pretty high as well, but 5th is good for this situation. So Jay Bruce is not very much of a surprise in this situation. Kipnis was on Shane Bieber's team. Let's take a look at his situation. Kipnis was second base and batted 3rd. Those are both huge. So let's take a look at second base for the positional value. Is a 5 out of 5. And batting 3rd is a 4 out of 4. So you cannot do much better. That was Jay Kipnis, and let's see what he did in the game. 4 at-bats, scored 1 run, had 2 hits. I think maybe one was a home run. No, I guess not. He had a double. No home runs for Kipnis in that game. Murphy batted 8th and catcher. Terrible things as far as weight goes in our system. First of all, catcher is a totally skilled spot. The only time catcher ranks high in the rankings is if it's a first base catcher dual position situation. But catcher position, the offensive positional value of a catcher is our lowest rank. It's a 1 out of 5. Catchers are skilled players. They're in there because they're good at defense and usually not great at hitting. And then his rank at number 8. 8 obviously is terrible, especially in an American League game when there's 9 hitters. 8th is not worth very much. So 8th is only worth 1. So he had the 2 lowest values of any. The combination of his being a catcher and batting 8th made him a terrible pick. We would have never intuitively put him in here. What probably happened with the computer with Murphy is that he filled in a low salary spot to help us get some of the other players in the game. Plawecki, also a catcher, batting 9th. Again, terrible. The 2 worst, if you look at 8th and 9th in the batting order. We already know that catcher's not great, but 8th gives us a batting order value of 1, and 9 actually gives us a batting order value of 0 in American League games, and 0, you never see it in National League games because that's usually the pitcher. So a lot of low value there on Plawecki and Murphy, the 2 catchers. But they filled in and did well. Let's see what they did here. Murphy, 3 out of 4. He was at bat 4 times, 3 hits, 1 RBI, a double. He got a double against Bieber, actually. So that was negative to our pitcher, but good for Murphy. These guys also, the other value of this Murphy-Plawecki situation was they were probably really lowly owned in this game and helped us with differential being contrarian. 92.95 is the winning score in a showdown is actually a fairly moderate score. It's not a barn burner score. I've seen showdowns with 150 points. So this was a relatively low winning score, probably because of the game being 4-2. 4-2 results, but we had the right players doing well in low ownership positions with low salaries to help us get the better batters and good pitcher. So I just thought it was interesting to deconstruct this game and see what happened. We not only won this slate, but we came in 5th and 6th. I don't remember how many lineups there were allowed, how many players were allowed in this contest, but had we not won the game, we still did pretty well. 5th, 6th, 15th, 18th. So this turned out well with what the computer told us to do. And that's my point with this video, is don't always go by a game script that's set in your head or personal preference of positions and the desire to hedge and put both pitchers in every game, every slate that you have, so you're covering all bases. You have to kind of sell out and make a choice and trust your choice. And again, we trusted $140 in this case to Shane Bieber, essentially, and he did his job for us. So we trusted what the computer told us without tweaking it with a lot of stacking and a lot of hedging. So check out our projection tool at singlegamedfs.com. You can get the tool. You can see the projection points if you sign up for our monthly subscription. And let us know if you're interested in joining our beta club for doing a swarm stream of projections. It's kind of a new test that we have for the next 30 or 60 days. Thanks, everyone, and have a great slate.